Worldwide sales of electric vehicles expected to rise to 11 million this year, Scotty.
That's a lot. That's a lot. So if you're one of the people looking to plug in one of these new EV cars coming out this year, anything from the electric Hummer, that's my favorite, to the shiny Lexus RZ, the government is offering a $7,500 tax credit. But it's not automatic when you buy the car. We learned that the hard way.
Yep. To help you navigate the EV tax credit maze, we're joined by John Bozzella, President and CEO of the Alliance of Automotive Innovation. John, thank you so much for your time this morning. Him and I are both electric car owners, but if we wanted to buy a new model this year, what are the IRS rules to take advantage of this tax credit, and how does it work?
Yeah, well, first of all, welcome to the club. I drive an EV as well. As you well know, they're fun to drive, so we should figure this out, right? So a couple of things here. There's a number of tests that have been put in place for the new federal tax credit. One, you've got to know your taxable income. Two, where the vehicle is finally assembled matters. Also, what matters is what type of vehicle it is. Is it a car or a truck? There are different MSRP or price caps for the credit based on that. And also, ultimately, starting in March, we're going to have to know the origin of raw materials and battery components that go into the vehicle. So it's going to take a little sleuthing, but it's certainly doable.
Okay, so that's a lot of homework for somebody to know where the raw materials for the battery came from and where it was assembled. So if viewers at home are shopping for a new EV, and they apparently are, they sold about 1 million of them, what's the best way to find out if the model that they're thinking about actually qualifies?
Yeah, it's going to get a little simpler. So the easiest way to check if the model qualifies is to go to the IRS website. And, you know, you just have to type in federal EV tax credit, and that website will pop up. And you'll be able to see what are called qualifying manufacturers in vehicles. And you'll see there both the vehicle and what the MSRP cap is for that vehicle. So if it's a sedan, for example, if it's $55,000 or less, you have the appropriate income level, you can get a $7,500 tax credit for that right now. Don't worry about the raw materials and battery component limitations. Those come later. Right now, it really is about whether the vehicle qualifies from an MSRP and a final assembly perspective. Vehicles made in North America qualify. Vehicles that are made outside of North America do not.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at fueleconomy.gov right now, and it lists a bunch of vehicles. It says their name, the year of the model, and everything. Not all cars are created equal. Some of them are like 4,500, some of them are 7,500, so you really got to pinpoint what model you're going after.
Is the Hummer on there? No, it is not. The Hummer's not on there.
You know, I just on the fueleconomy.gov, unfortunately, is going to confuse certain customers, and this is one of the challenges. The government on one website, fueleconomy.gov, might call a vehicle an SUV, and it would have a higher price cap, $80,000. Yet the IRS might call that same vehicle a sedan, and the price cap would be $5,500, so $55,000. So there's a bit of a challenge here. The government isn't quite sure what to call some of these vehicles. This is unfortunate because 70% of EVs purchased right now are SUV, CUV vehicles. So it's really important the government get this right.
Yeah, and it seems like there has been a change in the last few years. Jay and I were talking about this. When we got our cars, there were not a lot to choose from. That is changing dramatically. Now you can get electrified Corvettes, the Hummer. There's a lot of new varieties coming out from brands and names that we all know and trust for decades. How is that impacting Tesla? Because they just slashed their prices on some of their models.
Yeah, look, here's what's happening. There are 89 separate models for sale in the U.S. market that are electric vehicles. Every price point now, every segment. And so, you know, Tesla had lots of running room, especially in that premium luxury segment. They have competitors now. It is inevitable, no matter how good you are and how good your car is, that obviously if you have more competition, you know, there's going to be a challenge in the marketplace. And I think that's what you're seeing. By the way, this is wonderful for consumers because right now the average transaction price, as you noted earlier, is about $66,000 for a vehicle. So we want more competition. We want more segments represented with regard to this technology. So it's great for consumers.
And we should note that the electric car market, at least in the new cars, is still a small sliver of the overall car market, but it is growing very, very fast. One of the big things that is holding up this industry, though, is something called range anxiety, how far your battery can get you from point A to point B.
Yep.
What does the government need to do? I know there's a lot of money, the recent infrastructure bill pumped into that. What do you see in the future, the next 5 years, that could get this thing really ramped up?
Yeah, there are a couple of things. Number one, availability of public charging, especially what's called level 3 fast charging, absolutely critical. The federal government did make a down payment in the infrastructure bill, really a significant amount of money, $7.5 billion for expansion of publicly available fast charging. That's critical because that addresses this question of range anxiety. I think the other thing that needs to happen is we need to make sure that, people who have the opportunity to charge at home can charge at home. And so there are opportunities to work with public utility and public service commissions as well as local utilities to develop opportunities for customers to charge at home. Right now, 80% of EV drivers charge at home.
At home or at work. I have the luxury of being able to park right here in our parking garage for free.
Yeah, charge at work.
So it's great.
Hey, John, real quick, what do you drive?
So I just spent the last year driving a Mustang Mach-E, and I've started driving a Volvo XC90 Recharge, which is a plug-in hybrid. So I have, the hazard of my profession is I rotate through the brands, and I have a lot of opportunity to drive different cars. So it's fun.
The luckiest guy in the world right there driving. John Bozzella, thanks for joining us this morning. We'll be right back on Morning Rush.
Thank you.